Hi there, my name's Margot Jameson of Westward Whisky, and I wanted to introduce you to Kristen Krogstad, our founder and master distiller based in Portland, Oregon. Welcome, Christian.
Thanks for having me.
And today he's going to be taking us through an absolutely superb and very innovative whiskey that's been launched called Westward Whisky Sourdough. So do you mind telling us about how this all came about?
I'd love to. As you know, our flagship Westward American single malt is brewed very carefully, rigorously, following brewing standards using an ale yeast and locally sourced two-row barley. In this case, though, I have a very good friend who's probably one of America's top baking experts, and he and I were sitting around drinking, as one does, and he suggested, he asked if anyone's ever made whiskey with sourdough starter, and I said, not that I know of, and I haven't found anyone since. So the next day he brought by about a liter of his levain, and we scaled it up, and we used the sourdough as the yeast and produced what has come to be a sensational whiskey.
Excellent, absolutely, very, very innovative. So, so do you mind, Christian, taking us through, a real tasting of this great whiskey?
Certainly. So where it really differs from the core, our original Westward American single malt, and really all of our other products, is this is the brightest, most sort of delicate whiskey that we make. What you'll notice on the nose, you get some vanilla, but you really get a light sort of tropical fruit quality. And that's going to come through in the, it's sort of hard to put your thumb on what that flavor is until you actually experience it on your palate. So take a sip. Again, you'll see it's very bright, very light on the palate, and that big passion fruit, tropical fruit flavor comes through. It's a flavor that I haven't experienced on really any other whiskeys, but it's just in spades on the sourdough. Something to do with the yeast, the local yeast that we use from that sourdough, and the bacterial load that is also sort of the native microflora around here. So it really expresses the terroir of Portland, that microflora that's in the air that creates the sourdough starter that we then use to ferment the whiskey. So on the finish, again, it's a nice lingering finish, not as sweet as most of our expressions, because again, it has that brightness from the fermentation. Because we're not accustomed to these strains of yeast and bacteria, we didn't know what to expect. And as it turned out, whereas our normal ferment takes 6 days, 5 to 6 days to finish out, this took upwards of 17 days. And in subsequent batches, we've managed to control it a little bit better and get it down to about 12 to 14 days. But it's still a particularly long ferment. And I think that that's part of what gives it the time to develop those tropical fruit flavors.
Beautiful. Well, cheers, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you.